Welcome to Dem DMs. My name is Panda Ghost.
Fox Ghost.
And I'm Matt.
Well, it's official. DnD Beyond has a new sugar daddy. Now we get to discuss the possible pros and cons for users and what the new status quo might look like. So if everyone's ready, let's slide on in.
So first, Hasbro, which is the owners of D&D, have bought from fandom DnD Beyond, as we've already just explained, for roughly $150 million of cash. It's a pretty big expenditure. They're looking to not touch really anything with D&D Beyond in terms of corporate structure. So hopefully this is just a changing of hands, and so they can integrate things better, hopefully, with the official material and the D&D Beyond toolkit.
So what do we think, guys? Pros of this. I think one thing that people have been kind of hoping for, over the past few years that D&D Beyond's been out. I think it's been 5 years now for D&D Beyond. Is that true?
I think
2017.
Okay, I was going to say, about as long as we've been playing 5th edition.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I think during that time, a lot of people, the biggest thing that everybody complains about is, I gotta buy a book over here, I need to buy, if I'm virtual tabletopping, I need to buy map pack over here, and, if I'm on D&D Beyond, I also need to buy the book over here so I can get that into the compendium for D&D Beyond. And for a lot of people, that's, possibly like $100 to, $120 expense, everything said and done, and it's a lot to ask for people.
Right. I'm thinking that this is going to be a good thing, generally speaking, especially if, there's that wild speculation out there that they're going to have their own VTT. I think...
WotC, you mean, yeah.
Yeah, WotC's going to have their own VTT, which, as long as it's, a good VTT...
Quality. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tinfoil hat theory, I think there's been a lot of speculation, possibly with no real evidence to it, but, some random conspiracy theory that this is the first thing that WotC's going to buy, the second thing is going to be Roll20, or some other VTT service. Or Fantasy Grounds, or anything of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I hear virtual tabletop for D&D, the first thing I always hear of is Roll20. Like, I rarely ever hear of the other ones. So,
and I feel like it's almost synonymous now. Like when you hear about D&D virtual tabletops, a lot of people tend to think, like you said, probably more Roll20.
Well, here's the thing, though. They would have to buy specifically the 5th edition version of Roll20,
because they have all the older edition ones,
and they also have it for Pathfinder too, I think,
and a bunch of other systems.
Yeah, so they would have to buy specifically the 5th edition, or maybe just maybe 3.5 as well if they wanted to, I guess. But they'd probably just have to buy just the D&D related versions.
But just as what has been announced now, the idea of possibly buying a hard copy book, because I'm someone that buys hard copy books 9 times out of 10. If there is some sort of discount code, or 1-to-1 translation for like a PDF version of it, or whatever the case may be, that is now accessible via D&D Beyond after purchasing that book, that makes the idea of utilizing D&D Beyond a little bit more of an easier pill to swallow for people. I think even if it was like a, let's say a 20% discount, I'm making that number up, right? On whatever D&D Beyond's current, package for that book would be, that would even be something that would draw more people into purchasing that material. And they did something like that with the Essentials kit. So it just seems like that would be the natural next step, but we'll see.
Actually, with the Essentials kit, it was a completely free D&D Beyond version. It wasn't even like discounted. It was the free adventure that you get with the Essentials kit, and then you also got 2 extra adventures, or 3 extra adventures to go along with that too, all for free.
Yep. Yeah, and that was purely on D&D Beyond. Those 3 adventures. Yeah.
Right.
Like, it didn't come in the book. You had to use D&D Beyond to get them.
Right.
Yeah. So possible. Definitely. Good thing. I mean, if the tinfoil hat theory holds true, and they somehow manage to get a virtual tabletop, whatever that looks like, D&D Beyond is basically 9/10 of the way there, with what you would need to start in on that. Plus the ability to use homebrew things, in D&D Beyond that could then be translated to a virtual tabletop system. That would be extremely efficient and beneficial for all, parties involved, I think.
Yep.
Other big pros that stick out to you guys? Anything else that you could think of that would be like a hard-hitting thing for pros?
Not really. There's not a lot of information to go off of right now. I mean,
there are
also some things to be concerned about as well. Like, what if they don't decide not to give us, discounts or free versions of the online version? I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but
it's just like a net zero at that point.
Right.
It's not. It doesn't harm us as players. It doesn't help us as players. It's just net zero.
But it could also turn into a thing where they increase the price of the digital versions too.
That's true too. I highly doubt they do that.
Or the subscriptions.
Or the other thing is the subscription cost for D&D Beyond goes up. I mean, I don't pay for it right now because I haven't needed to. Haven't been using that a whole lot, but.
Do we think the purchasing of it by WotC and having this, and obviously WotC being owned by Hasbro, having this kind of behind you as D&D Beyond creators, do you think this will speed up development of new, not product, but new things like the encounter builders that's currently in beta and things like that? Will it speed up that process or that development, or increase maybe production of that?
It might, since they might. Hasbro could allocate a larger budget for them, maybe. At the same time, they might just want to keep D&D Beyond self-contained for the time being as well. Who knows?
Sure.
The only other con I can think of is now everything's pretty... pretty much right now, if this is a bigger move to create their own virtual tabletop, you'll have pretty much one centralized location, and maybe you won't get as much innovation in terms of
sure,
or competition as well.
It'll be more of a monopoly for it,
right? Which is kind of a con and a pro at the same time, because then it's all in one location. You don't have to go across 3 different websites just to get your stuff. At the same time, it might stifle innovation and competition. But
sure,
that's kind of ancillary. I don't think that's too big of a concern.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing to remember for everybody that's watching this right now is, nothing has really been stated. This is all hearsay and conjecture, and whatever they decide to do, it'll probably be announced at certain points. I know there's the D&D Direct that's coming out, I think, next week on Thursday, same time as the start of PAX East, that they're unveiling a bunch of stuff from new products and things like that. So maybe we'll get a little bit more information from that about what this acquisition could do. But yeah, I think it's a little early days, but I think there's a lot of... It almost seems like if you didn't want to do these things, if you didn't want to have this kind of compatibility between the two companies, why mess with the status quo, And because that is now changing, I think that it leans more towards the possibility of doing those things rather than not.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll have to see. This is all, again, early days, and we'll try to keep updates as they come. We might do another video like this, trying to kind of give everybody kind of heads up what to expect and what to do. But it's right now, it's just kind of wait and see at this point. So if there's nothing else, I think we'll wrap this video up if that's all right with everybody. And we'll see everybody next time we slide on into Dem DMs. All right.
Peace.
Have a good day, everybody.
I guess.
Thank you for watching the DemDMs podcast. We release a new video every Thursday. Feel free to continue the conversation in the comments down below. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Also, be sure to smite that like button, subscribe, and sneak attack that notification bell to ensure that you're up to date on all our new content.